everyone, welcome. How you guys doing today? Well, today's recipe, we're going to be making some gluten-free bread. Now this recipe was sent in to me by one of my viewers, Mike97525, and thank you very much for sending in the recipe. I tried it out, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very good bread. You know, some of these gluten-free breads can be not so good, but this one is very nice. It's light and it's fluffy like. It's like, you know, nice white sandwich bread. So it's great for sandwiches and toast and, you know, pretty much anything you want to do with it. Now, if any of you have ever, you know, purchased gluten-free bread at the store, you know how expensive it can be, right? You know, a little tiny loaf this big, you know, costs you anywhere from $4 to $6.50. So now you can make it at home. This recipe is, you know, gonna fit the bill for you. Try it out and see what you think. So I'm Rockin' Robin, and I'm gonna show you how to do it right after this. Let's go over our ingredients so we can get started. First off, we have our flour. Now I'm using Bob's Red Mill. This is an all-purpose flour that you want to make sure you get the right one because they have a couple of different ones, so make sure it looks like this. We'll need some unflavored gelatin. I have some xanthan gum here. That's going to help replace the gluten that's not there, and that's also a Bob's Red Mill product. We'll need some active dry yeast. I have some sugar and some salt. Now for our wet ingredients, you're going to need some milk. Now I have some eggs here. Now the key with the eggs is to make sure you take them out of the refrigerator and let them come to room temperature. So I took mine out about an hour and a half before starting this project. All right, so we'll also need some vegetable oil, some apple cider vinegar, and that'll do it for our wet ingredients. And then lastly, we'll need some shortening and some more of that flour to line our pan. Now I do want to mention that you're going to need some sort of, you know, Kitchenaid type mixer, something that can, you know, mix up dough, because that makes this whole recipe very, very simple and easy and very quick to put together. The first thing you want to start with is preparing your pan. I have a 5-inch by 9-inch pan here. This is a loaf pan, and I've got my shortening, and I'm just going to take it and rub it into the, you know, the surface of the inside of the pan. Then just sprinkle some flour in there, and you're just going to try and get it all over the edges by, you know, mixing it around. I got a towel here, I use it to kind of bang on the counter, just kind of, you know, makes it less noisy. Make sure once you get it all coated, as you can see here, there's some excess flour in there. We don't want that on our bread, so, you know, give it a good bang and just toss that out. Now we're ready to prep up our yeast. So I'm going to take my milk and pour it into a saucepan, and I'm going to put the temperature on low. And I'm going to bring the temperature up nice and slow to about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And I have my instant read thermometer here, which I will use to determine the temperature. All right, so now that the temperature is at about 100, I'm going to add in the sugar and the yeast. And we'll just set this aside while we're getting ready to do the other part. So I'm just going to stir this in. So now we're ready to put everything in our Kitchenaid mixer. Now you want to use the paddle attachment. That's important, okay? So before I attach that, we're going to add all of our liquid ingredients to the Kitchenaid mixer. So we've got our eggs, and we have our oil, and we have our apple cider vinegar, and then the bloom yeast. I call it that because that's what the yeast does, it blooms. Now I'll attach the paddle. So I'm gonna mix this until it's combined. So I've got all of my dry mixtures mixed into the flour, and I'm adding it to the mixture. A little bit at a time. I've got it on 2 right now. I'm just mixing this in. All right, so now we've got all the flour mixed in there. We want to turn this up to 4 for 2 minutes. All right, just so you can hear me. Now we're going to turn it up to 10. That's the highest speed. We're going to whip this mixture somewhere between 3 and 5 minutes, and I usually go for 4. So here we go. All right, we're done whipping. I think the hardest part with this recipe is getting it out, getting that dough out of there and into the pan. The rest of this has been super easy. Okay, so now you just want to start placing everything into your pan, and it's going to take a few minutes. And when you place it in the pan, try and get it, you know, plop it in evenly, so because it's hard to spread around. So just plop each piece down to cover the bottom. Now this is going to rise for 27 minutes. So we're going to cover it. I got a nice clean towel here. I'm going to put this in a warm place. A lot of times I like to use my microwave, and I'll just set it in there. 27 minutes, we'll check it. What we want it to do is to rise up above the edge of the pan. Our bread has been rising for 27 minutes. I want you to have a look at this. Look at this, it's beautiful. It's risen up above the edge of the pan, and so now it's ready to go in the oven. Now, by the way, my oven is preheated to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're gonna cook it. It says, the recipe says to cook it for 27 minutes. Oven temperatures vary. So I'm gonna check mine at 25 because it tends to run a little hot. The test for doneness is when that toothpick comes out clean. So in the oven we go. All right, so I pulled my bread out. It's getting dark. It's only been 21 minutes. And so now I'm going to place a piece of foil just over the top that'll slow down the browning of the top of that bread and let it continue to cook. It's time to test our bread. It's been in here a total of 27 minutes, beautiful golden brown. And I'm gonna do the old toothpick test to see where we're at. And that looks like that's done to me. All right, once your bread comes out of the oven, you're gonna wanna take it out of the pan and put it on a cooling rack. So hopefully, it's not too hot. It's hot, but it's not too hot for my hands. We're gonna let that cool completely before we try and slice it up. The bread's not quite cool enough really to be slicing up, but there is nothing like homemade bread, fresh out of the oven, nice and warm. You add a little butter, and it is yummy. So that's what I'm gonna do anyway, just because I can. Now again, this took about 27 minutes in my oven. The regular recipe says, you know, cook it for 27 minutes, then cook it another 10 to 15 with foil over it. So like I said, do the toothpick test and see for yourself how your oven is working with it and decide. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and slice this up. Use a serrated knife, it always makes slicing a little better. Oh, look at that, beautiful. Beautiful bread, smells incredible in here. And I am going to place some nice butter on my bread. Oh, it's nice and warm. Yeah. Nothing like it, guys. The only thing I did different with this recipe is I added just a touch more salt to it. So the recipe calls for a half a teaspoon of salt. I added 3/4 of a teaspoon. That's up to you guys, do whatever you like. But I tried it originally and I liked a little more salt. So very good recipe. Thank you, Mike, for sending this in. I really do appreciate it. I think you're gonna help a lot of people save some money. Now they can make this beautiful gluten-free bread at home and just, save money and really enjoy some homemade bread. So thanks for watching, everybody. I do appreciate all your support. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet and you'd like to see more recipes, click the subscribe button. We'll have it up here on the screen and down below the video. And always leave me a comment. Try this recipe, let me know what you think about it. I think it's really good. So thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next time.